Have an example where we have asked the server to remember that my zip code is so-and-so and that someone else, maybe 100 other folks are passing their own particular zip codes, and the server needs to be able to remember everybody's particular value, right? So we need to demonstrate that that's the case. So to demonstrate that, what we're going to do is that we're going to add an additional endpoint here, right? And the endpoint is going to be this. We'll say get. And this is going to do, instead of a set, it's going to do a get, right? And the get is going to ask the server, it says, get me the session, read it. I know you presumably at some point you wrote to the session. Now I want to do a read operation. I'm going to do a get. So here I'm asking the server to say, hey, remember that my zip code is XYZ. And I'm going to come back and verify that, yes, the server did remember. I'm going to ask, what was my zip code that I told you? Right? And the server should be able to respond. All right, so let's implement this get session. Get session. All right, so it's going to use the same request response. So it's going to retrieve the value, right, from the session. Here's the session. Right. Remember, notice that earlier we used the session on the left-hand side. See that? So we are assigning from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. See that? So that's a write operation. We're writing into the session. Now we're going to read from the session. Notice that now we have the session on the right-hand side. So we're going to read from here. We're going to say request.params.name. Okay. Notice that before we were reading from the params the name, right, so that we could write into the session. Now we're using it, right, I guess we could grab the name from here, from the request, and then use name here. So that's a little more readable. Okay, so we're retrieving the value from the session, and then we're going to send you back, that value. Okay. All right, excellent. So let's run this again. Okay, so here we're in Safari. We're going to refresh this so that we can, again, ask the server to remember this. And we're going to head over to our browser on Chrome, and we're going to refresh this. So each one of them has different zip codes. Okay, so in a separate tab, we're going to try to hit that URL. But instead of doing a set operation, we're going to do a get. Let's say get the zip. And notice that it comes back with the correct zip code. So it remembered from my browser, right, that's my zip code. Now if I head over to Safari and I do the same exact operation, right, hopefully in a different tab, right, it's going to remember the zip code for this browser. So when I hit it, notice that indeed, right, is remembering this separate information. So there we have it. So we have, here we have a Safari, and we have Chrome, right? Notice that each one is remembering different things, and this is how how Amazon and how all these websites, right, remember and about us when we come back, and each one maintains a different shopping cart and is able to maintain a conversation with hundreds or thousands of users, right, using this particular technique.